Hey, it's everyone's favorite. Yes, this is not a solve-all. This is my analysis that is, well, to be honest, it's partially, maybe not incomplete, flawed. Yeah, and Jojo J, cool element thing, he forgot red. It's fine. It shows up in literally one attack in literally two battles. Pippist joke. It's not a real element. And yes, this says there are only 10 element things, and there are 23 elements right now. Can't sort them all into just pairs. Maybe themes or part of other elements. Also, what's up with rabbit? And I get the pun dust bunny, but you really need to include two elements with that. Two elements that seem, if anything, like opposites. Each element could have a darker side, deeper. Yes, here. Been brought into things. Which one is it? Death, Scythe, is it Chaos? Order? Rude? What's going on here? And, well, element 9 stuff, and the explanation of how the elements work. All elements resist themselves except 9, which resists 2, 8, and 9, and 10, which resists all, and 0, which is resisted by nothing and used by Overworld. And this is just a fun little reference. And yeah, from people of many elements, do they spin? Most of them are physical, some are emotional, some have a lot of explanation of, others, color. It's color. So I've descended into utter chaos. Speaking of chaos, Death Scythe, Order Chaos, and Rude. They're certainly connected, aren't they? And I think that Death Scythe is Order Chaos because, well, death? Some describe it as the order of things. I'd call those people misguided, but now is not the time for my opinion. Now is the time for knowing that it exists. And Scythe. Scythe feels like, well, Scythe can be a way, like the Reaper's Scythe. Death's Scythe. Be a scythe that could be seen as a tool to sow chaos, or a part of, what is it, farming? And farming order is very much necessary. Factory farms aren't, but that's neither here nor there. There are many tangents. And I believe that Rude is just Susie's way of order chaos. I don't fully expect anyone but Susie to be using Rude. And I expect it to count as the same element as Jevil, because it's Susie's brand of order chaos. Chaotic order. After all, chaos is just order, but in a way we don't understand. Toby literally said that during the Jevil fight. So, certainly order chaos pairing connection to be made there. And there's one I've made. And we can use the element 6 as the only one coded in yet excuse for why the Jevil Tail doesn't seem to work on Ambulance and Task Manager enemies with order. Or the Jevil Tail can do anything. It's weird. Or maybe Jevil Tail doesn't have elemental resistance, or there might be reasons why. Besides, we didn't feel like coding it in yet, because neither have they coded in the elemental damage for Susie's Rude Buster. Which, well, there might not be any, but still, game not finished is my justification. Game not finished. And, well, mouse. Mouse, that's an interesting element. I went for virus because it seemed like the most obvious one. And we could also connect mouse. We could extend that element to household pets. That's a bit of a stretch. I mean, pests, not pets. Being comforted. on a cold day. You know? Ice might not just be an element of cold. Staying distanced. It may also, in a weird way, also be a way to be connected. Yeah, I know. Weird for an element to be both of those things. But those stories Noelle is telling us probably mean more than just, I really miss Tess and Asriel. Now, if any element's the element of Spamton's Jewel. Figured I would mention that, considering who I'm fighting right now. Currently, I think Spamton's full element, right now, Puppet Electric, or Jewel Electric. Or Puppet Jewel Electric, but seems like only Mouse Wheel's the one to have 3 elements. Which is interesting. It's clearly just the same element 3 times. Yeah, I feel like 3 different elements isn't really a thing that'll happen. You know? You can tell. Through this, you can tell how much easier Spamton is than Jevil. Jevil actually had to concentrate. You actually could see me breaking, talking, because I was focusing on dodging the patterns, even though I didn't want to be. This, just kind of rambling. And I definitely have more time than Jevil. Oh, I remember those times trying to beat him for the first time. If I could beat him while most of my attention's on him. Anyway. Blade. Certainly an element that doesn't have much connection. Like, literally, that's the whole thing. Disconnected. Non-empathetic. Looking at it, how distant Wooden Ranger is. But he also seems a bit like Susie. Which is interesting. Considering Blade is, well, what the knight used to create a fountain. And the description I just used for Blade elements, people with Blade, is exactly the description that I would give Chris when they don't have soul. Puzzle. Jigsaw. He's a happy guy. I think the puzzle part of him is just him being the tutorial man. Him loving to explain the rules of the world. Like it's all one big puzzle. I think there's much you can connect to that, honestly. Besides, color or something? Because they both are helpful? At this point, I don't know. Fight. But it's about drive, it's about power, yeah, it is definitely about joy. Not joy, but energy for fighting. Pumped spirit, but it's not like Blade. It's still kind of content and reachable. Just like Bloxer, Wire. They both... Well, Bloxer's really content, and Wire, it's not pure fight. So see, it's a little less distant because of the electric wire part. Speaking of which, Wire should have been Puppet. Should have been. Hi, I'm recording.
Hello.
Exactly.
What are you doing?
Reading off the slideshow while battling Deltarune secret bosses. Yeah. If the king had an element, it would be Chaos Blade. Dust. It's definitely Ruden's dirty side. Seems creepy, pulsing, and unknown, because Rabbit is clearly very rabbit. We haven't seen much of Dust. But it feels like it will be important, because of those piles of dust we see in Chapter 1's Supply Closet Dark World. Which is really interesting. You know what I mean? We see a bit of dust, but not enough to make a good decision of what dust really is. And I think ice will be paired up with a fire element, which I'm sure will exist, because Taurio, man, Taurio is in the next chapter. And we already know based on, well, the numbers. You've seen them, right? The numbers. The sweepstakes page. No, it's not sweepstakes for once. The website. I know, it is sweepstakes. Numbers. With 2 and 3 being as big. 3 playing some kind of fire noise. And 2 playing the Boldly Fight Snowgrave talk. Which brings me to Red. This has been Red. Yeah, it's the one time Red shows up. So I believe Red's just about the soul and its control. If there is an element about souls, then Red's certainly a part of it. Not their control as much as their power and their will. Their will to make others do things for them. Make them act as puppets. But also, for them literally not being able to live without. Literally puppeteered by the very thing that gives them life. How interesting. I could see Blade being a part of Dark because Dark... Did I say this? Dark feels like the Roaring. Roaring, nightmares. Well, Darkness hopes. Possibly. I could see Blade and Dark existing on similar wavelengths. Whether that means they're literally pairs, or one is part of the other, or Dark was actually referring to Blade the whole time. And I was wrong about Rude. It's like, with Heart. Oh yeah, I could totally see that. Rude plus Heart as an elemental pair of emotions. From mean to nice. It's perfect, why didn't I think of that before I literally recorded this? Which could be a bit less of a theme purpose thing. Unsure. But it could end up being just Mouse Virus. Just Order Chaos. With Rude being with Rude being part of Heart. And Soul being Red. And possibly Star, but I'm unsure for that. Possibly related to Dust, because Dust in Undertale meant death. And Dust in Deltarune does seem to mean death. The fail animation has them literally disintegrating into red pieces that could end up being dust. But maybe not literally dust, but similar. All that for me to say, this is just trying its best. I am going to give you, currently, a slideshow what I think the current pairs are. They could be pairs, they could be themes, they could be whatever. Here they are, current pairs. There's the confirmed ones, Puppet Cat, Electric Holy, Dark, Dark, which could be Blade, and Star, which could be Red or something similar. Heart Rude for emotions, Mouse Virus because diseases and stuff, Rabbit and Color, Order and Chaos. These are all the things with all these elements. What can we be sure of? Currently I've came up with 7 possible pairs. Well, not really 7. 4 of them were handed to me. The unique ones that I came up with were Mouse Virus and Heart Rude. Don't see many people making Heart Rude connections. What's interesting? They're both about emotions. Oh well, here we are. End of video. Guess we'll talk about it, eh? The night. I don't know what it is. Who it is. Its element is definitely Blade. Because, well, they possess a blade, and that's how they do it. Now, the Shadow Mantle. You've probably heard of it. It's this thing that Sham talks about. That's something that you can't beat the boss of Chapter 3 without. Now, it'll probably feel quite a bit like this. And I have a feeling that we'll be getting the Sky Mantle in Chapter 4. And then with the power of a Shadow Crystal, we forge the Shadow Mantle and leave behind a pure crystal. Now, you might be wondering, how will we do it to beat the boss of Chapter 3? I don't know. Could have something to do with the fact that the Shadow Crystal you get from Jevil, maybe you just, I don't know, travel back in time? The Castle Town Rock that somehow has Jevil stuff even if you didn't beat him, could end up housing the Shadow Mantle. Once you forge it, of course. Or it could have something to do with Undyne. And I personally think it's going to be whatever Dark Star is. The element it's going to protect against. And maybe have some special extra attack or something that turns it from a hopeless boss battle into an easy one. Sunshine. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Well, let's see. Oh yeah, elemental attacks. I think it's pretty clear there will be some form of elemental damage soon. And monsters will actually have weaknesses. Not the fake weakness to ice that Birdly has. But just think that if it has something to do with Undyne, beating the secret boss something to do with Undyne, what would we do if they pulled a Spamton Neo? If we, like, bone Undyne into 1,000 pieces, because we know Undyne doesn't like the heat. We've seen it in Undertale. So, current thought on how we do it is we reforge the Shadow Mantle. Maybe it might not even involve the Shadow Mantle, you know, Toriel's pretty religious mom. Maybe she has, whatever the Shadow Mantle becomes in her house. I mean, the Sky Mantle. And then we, reforge it using the power of, I don't know, some cat. Sham's definitely not gonna be part of this. Or he could be. He's proven himself to be pretty game-breaking. Kinda like Gaster, eh? Oh no. Sham's literally Puppet Cat. So he's literally the embodiment of Element 6. So he's probably a big Gaster servant. Knew I shouldn't have trusted that guy anyway. Oh well. Wasn't my thing. No, we didn't fail. Well, can't wait for Deltarune chapters 3 and 4. Hope you like this video. It's weird. See ya.